Hi, I'm Steve Luke, Director of Training and Certification for MITRE ATT&CK Defender. As part of our ongoing mission to help educate the global cybersecurity workforce on the applications of attack, we've produced new videos for you explaining in more detail how to synthesize heat maps in the course of a Security Operations Center assessment. MAD Professor Dr. Andy Applebaum has produced these videos to walk you through several different examples of situations where you've got different coverage levels of techniques between different heat maps and you're trying to produce a combined synthesized heat map. He'll be using our actual assessment platform, so it'll give you a glimpse of what that looks like, and he'll also show you how he keeps track of the information as he's answering these complicated questions. I think after you've watched these videos, you'll be even better prepared to go get certified through the MAD Skills Hub.
Hey everyone! In this video, we're going to provide a short tutorial on how to do heat map aggregation as part of an attack-based SOC assessment. This video is designed to supplement the existing training material we've already produced on assessments or as part of the MITRE ATT&CK Defender or MAD program. Really the video is designed to be a bit of a learning aid for the MAD certification aspect of the MAD program. Really the hope here is we're going to go through an example of heat map aggregation so that when you go about taking the MAD certification test, you've really seen me walk through an example of here's an example question and here's how you would solve it. So it's really a big learning aid there. And towards that, I've actually gone through and put in a demo test or a fake test with one single question on heat map aggregation as an actual exam, so I can show you the UI, what it looks like. Here you can see we've got a progress tracker, we've got the description, links out to the attack website, the attack navigator, a little button here. I like this one a lot for the real exam. For the demo exam, it's not very important, but click the navigator button and it'll let you pop to different questions real quickly. Here we've only got one question, so it's not a huge help, but it's kind of cool. And then of course a timer and then some login information. Here we don't have a real account, so it's not that specific. But anyway, diving right into it, you can see the actual question here. This is very similar to something we have, or a few questions we actually have as part of the exams. And here you can see we have the prompt. I'll kind of walk through that. We have some heat maps, and then we have where we put the answers down here. In a real exam, you'd also have the next question button, but you'll also get the submit button. So you can, as it says, submit your answers. Or I don't know if you can see my mouse down there because I know I've got my webcam on. So with that said, let's walk through this problem and see kind of, where some of the edge cases are and kind of how we go about solving it. Reading through the prompt, we can see that we've been given these three heat maps that correspond to analysis of two tools and a set of analytics, tool 1, tool 2, and the analytics from an attack-based SOC assessment. And we're currently in the process of creating a combined heat map from these three. The question then says, when aggregated together, how many techniques and sub-techniques fall under low, some, and high detection? So here it's pretty straightforward. We just want to answer how many, which is a count. We're just going to count the techniques. On the bottom, you can see we've got these little boxes here where I can put numbers in corresponding to the number of techniques for each. Ordinarily, you'd probably be doing this, as part of a real SOC assessment. You do it with the navigator and produce an actual heat map. But for the exam, we're making it a little bit easier. Now, to solve this, I don't want to say cheat a little bit, but I'm going to make my life easier. And ordinarily, I'd use the navigator, but instead, I have actually popped open Excel. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk through each of the techniques here, look at them individually, make a judgment about each, and then record it in my Excel sheet. And then when I'm done, I can just count the number of rows for each of the columns and we'll be good there. So to show you that, let's kind of start in the upper left here, Command and Scripting Interpreter. Here we see Tool 1 has low confidence, the analytics provides some confidence, and Tool 2 provides high confidence of detection. If you've gone through the training material already, you'll know that we want to take the kind of maximum level of confidence across our detection sources. So for command and scripting, we want to put in under the high confidence column we have there. The next technique, we go down, just PowerShell. We've got low, some, and low. Again, the maximum will go here, which is going to be some, because I think it was the analytics, or yeah, the analytics had some. The next one, Windows Command Shell, we'll see low confidence for tool 1, some for analytics, low for tool 2, so that'll give us some in total. Windows Command Shell. Then going back here, next one, Python, we've got low, low, and high, so that one will be high. Do Python there. Moving on, we've got exploitation for client execution. We've got low, low, and low. So that's easy. We're just going to pop over here, exploitation. You can see I'm using a little bit of shorthand here to just make my life a little bit easier. The next two, inter-process communication. I can look at tool 2 and just see these are high. And that's pretty easy. These are both going to be high for IPC and native API. And then the next one, this one's kind of interesting. This is user execution, and you can see we've got low, low, and low. That's going to come off as just low, you know, following that instinct that we've been going with so far. You want to take the maximum. However, if you look at this sub-technique, some folks might look at it differently, right? Here, for the 3 sub-techniques, I see some confidence for malicious links. I've got some, low, and low. And then malicious file, I've got high, and malicious image, I've got high. And that gives me pretty good coverage of these sub-techniques. And before I forget, let me mark malicious link and mail file and mail image real quickly. You can see you get this error message every now and then when you alt-tab. I love to alt-tab, so I get it a lot. You'll probably see it a lot in this video. Just click OK, so it's no big deal. But diving back to user execution, see, you know, we see low, low, and low, but we've got kind of pretty good coverage of the sub-techniques. Now, if you've seen the training videos, you know where I'm going with this. The big question is, do we want to say, okay, do we have low confidence of detection for user execution, or do we bubble it up because we've got coverage of the sub-techniques? And again, if you've seen the training videos, you know that, well, the answer to that question is it depends on the context. And here, we really have no context. We don't have information about the SOC. We barely have information about the tools aside from some like high-level description of how they're doing detection. And we don't even know, you know, really anything about what's going on. We really don't have the context. And without that context, to me, you know, yeah, maybe if we had some like interview results to throw in here, maybe we want to bubble it up from low to some. But here, I just want to leave it as low because it's really just that low confidence. You know, we don't have enough context to bubble it up. So we'll go back here and go to user exec, mark it under low, and then that will take us to now persistence. And I know that, you know, this process, it does seem, I don't want to say tedious, but, you know, going through each technique, it is a little bit, you know, rote. That said, it is important when you're doing an assessment to try to put this level of detail into how you're doing the aggregation. Personally, I've done assessments, I've put together heat maps, and one time I didn't pay enough attention to detail, and I got called out at the end of the assessment because there was something wrong with it. And, you know, when you do that and that happens, you get called out by the SOC, it's kind of like, well, okay, if Andy's not really right about this, what else did he maybe make a mistake on? And that's going to be a potential issue. So it is good to really put a lot of detail and thought into this. All right, so moving on to persistence, we can look at account manipulation. I've got low, low, and high here. Oops, let's delete that. Let me just do ACCT. And the next one, event triggered. I've got low, some, and low. Event trig. And then look at these sub-techniques kind of all at once. Change default file association. I've got low, low, and low. App init DLLs, high. Image file execution, high. COM hijacking, high. We'll go here, change def. App init, image file, and COM hijack. And you can see I'm using some shorthand here. You know, you don't really need to write all the technique names when you're doing this in the Excel sheet, but it is good if you want to go check your work and say, okay, this is really what I think it is. You know, I'm moving a little bit quicker here for the demo video just to walk through, but if you're going through this, you know, really being thorough, writing it out, making sure you can follow it is definitely important. Okay, schedule task / job, that's gonna be low, low, but that's some over here. At, that's gonna be high, and then schedule task, low, low, and low. So we're gonna do one for each. We're gonna do at schedule job under sum, and then schedule task under low. And then the last one under persistence, valid accounts, I've got sum, low, and low. So valid will go under here. Okay, that'll bring us to the last tactic here, command and control. These first two pretty easy. Application layer protocol, I've got sum, low, and low, so it'll be sum. Web protocols, low, low, and low. I'll just be low, web protocol, application under there. And now this one, file transfer protocols, is pretty interesting because we've got some confidence for tool 1, some for analytics, and some for tool 2. Now usually our guidance here is to choose the maximum coverage, which here is just sum because they're all sum. However, in some cases, you do want to go from some confidence to high confidence when you have these kind of, partially covering detection mechanisms. And really the guideline for when you go from sum to high is when you have multiple sources that are using different detection mechanisms that all have kind of partial coverage of the same technique. And here for file transfer protocols, I have a behavior-based tool, I have a signature-based tool, and I have some custom analytics. And with all of that, all three of those, that's pretty good evidence, at least for me, to say, okay, let's actually bump that up from sum up to high. So we'll do file transfer under high, and then the next one is also interesting, DNS. Got sum, and low. And so now again, okay, the maximum is sum, but do we bubble it up? And here my answer is no, just because a signature-based tool and analytics, yeah, they're complementary, or at least they're different. I don't know if they're complementary, but I don't know if that's enough really oomph, right, to bump up that detection coverage. So I'm going to leave DNS as sum, and then move on to data encoding. I'm going to see all three again, data encoding, sum, and sum. So I'm going to bump that one up too. Data encoding under high. And then data obfuscation, I've got sum, low, and low. So that one's going to be sum. And then these three sub-techniques, I can see junk data, that's going to be high. Steganography and protocol impersonation, it's going to be low, low, and low. So we'll go junk data, and then stag, and impersonation. And then three more encrypted channel. I've got sum, low, low, so that'll be sum. Non-application layer protocol, that's going to be high. And then non-standard port, I've got sum, low, and low, so that'll be sum. Do 1, 2, and 3. Make my life a little bit easier. And that'll run through everything. So now, having walked through each of the techniques, I just need to count the number under each column. So here I can see I'm on row 16. I got one extra column, so I'll be 15 for high. Nope, the alt key, 15 for high. And this should be 11 for sum. And with the alt key, it'll get you, it gets me a lot. And then low will be 7. And if memory serves me right, that should be right. And so I don't know if you can see my mouse, but down here I'm going to hit this submit button and let it think for a bit. And yep, I passed. That was it. Perfect. So hopefully this video helped. Again, we've kind of walked through a lot of the edge cases. So when you do actually take the exam, this should give you a lot of the information you need, and you should be able to consult a little bit here too as well. We do have a part 2 of the video coming up. In part 2, we'll walk through another question that's pretty interesting and a little bit challenging, where we do partial or we do heat map aggregation, where we've got, I think it's a tool, a set of analytics, but also interview results from the red team. So instead of just kind of aggregating and bubbling everything up, we're going to do some aggregation, but we're also going to kind of bubble things down based on that additional data source. So I'll save more on that for the next video. Hopefully this helped, and good luck on the exam.